The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Reaper Apparel Company. Reaper Apparel offers a casual line of superb fit, finish, and comfort. We design for those who refuse to die slowly and choose to live untamed. For those who aren't afraid to face the dark, for the ones that thrive in it, and for those who can appreciate life through a grim lens. That's Reaper Apparel Company. Go to the link in the description of this episode, use the promo code Mike Bono, and get 10% off. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by my own personal merch store, the Stupid Should Hurt merch store. I have hats, I have t-shirts, hoodies, coffee mugs, water bottles, notebooks, you name it, I've got it. The description and the link for that will be in the description of this episode. Also, right now, if you use the promo code WELCOME, I will give you 5% off of your first purchase. That's the Stupid Should Hurt merch store. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Tactical Brotherhood, all American-made apparel, which helps support the Second Amendment. You can also find all this in the description of this episode with the link, Tactical Brotherhood. Part of every proceed does go to helping veterans, as it is a very good cause. All American-made products made right here in Minnesota. Go and check them out. Use the promo code PATRIOT15 to get 15% off your purchase. Now, let's start the show. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. This is, as always, your host, Mike Bono. I have a great guest for us today. He comes all the way from one of my favorite towns to do comedy, and I've done it a lot of times, in Leetonia, Ohio. Matt Altomare, the head coach of Leetonia High School, joins the show. Matt, thanks for joining.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Love it.
Hey, not a problem at all. So, like I said, you grew up in Leetonia, and you're from there, and tell the listeners that may not know, but I've been to Leetonia a bunch. I've done a lot of comedy shows at the Tipsy Cow there. I love that little place, and it's a great little bar. But tell people what's it like in the town of Leetonia, Ohio.
It's an old town. It's an Italian town. That was the identity, a long time back. In fact, my grandfather came over in 1912 when he was 6 years old. So the town kind of had its identity. Now, just like a lot of small towns in Ohio, probably where a lot of your listeners are from, or where you're from, they went through a sort of, crisis of identity there for a little bit. But we're still striving to thrive, I guess you could say. It's a tiny town. We're the smallest school district in the county. The third smallest in the Tri-County area. So we're just trying to keep on. It's a great town. The doors aren't locked right now, so I know this is going on the air later. So, but leave doors open, garage open. It's everybody knows everybody kind of feeling.
Yeah, I definitely get that. I live in a small town now in Ohio. It's called Philo. It's actually considered a village. There's that little people in it. It's not so.
Oh, yeah.
We live here, and I'm originally born and raised in West Virginia, a little small town, Fallsby, West Virginia. I called it Little Italy. Like you said, Little Leetonia. There was nothing. Everybody's naming it in a vowel when you went there. So, but yeah, a town of like 1,200 people, if that. And like you said, leave the doors unlocked. Everybody knows, like. We have neighbors that still to this day don't even knock. They just if they see the cars in the driveway, the doors open, they're coming in. They don't need to knock, and you greet them with open arms because everybody knows everybody. I love a small town.
I've been to Fallsby before. Probably for maybe another podcast, but had a girl that I was pretty sweet on back in the day from Fallsby, and I spent some time there, and I love that town. You go down that area, Steubenville South, and it's a nice area. And you're right, there are a lot of Italian communities there. So Fallsby, I've actually, believe it or not, have been to before.
You're one of the first listeners in 4 years of doing this show that actually knows my hometown one and actually been there. So I appreciate it. I love it. I love it. But, growing up, in Leetonia, your dad was a legendary football coach there. What was it like growing up with him as the coach and then ultimately replacing him as the head coach of Leetonia High School?
Sure. That's a lot to unpack. But, I grew up around the sport of football. My dad started coaching as a head coach at Leetonia in 1975, and I was born in 1976. I was born on a Tuesday night, I believe, and they played their final football game of the season on Thursday, and I still have the ball right behind me here. That's the first thing that ever came in my trophy case for coaching, and it's probably the last thing I'll ever take out of it. Kind of proud of that. They signed the ball for me. So, growing up, my dad being a football coach, with being such a small town too, you knew everyone, and you still do know everybody. And, I really enjoy that. And there's a lot of times where, sometimes depending upon how the game goes on Friday, you might be at the local Family Dollar or somewhere, and they might turn down the other aisle to try to avoid Joe. Or other times, they might be like, hey, let me buy you a pop or a beer or something. And, that's what it's about. But you know everybody. You can connect and not just knowing everybody, but you can connect everybody within a couple or 2 or 3 degrees. Even if you don't know somebody, somebody that knows somebody and that's why they ended up in Leetonia. Because of those connections. So, it was a great experience. And sometimes, I left coaching. I still taught at Leetonia, but I left coaching at Leetonia for about 9 years. So this coming season will be the first year in 10 years that I'll be back. And, I'll be the first to admit sometimes you need to leave a little bit to kind of appreciate both the town, both the sport, both, everything that comes along with it. So, coming back after my last time in 2014, it got a new and different perspective about things.
Yeah, I actually get that 100%. I mean, I grew up playing football. I love the sport of football. Back in the day, every high school kid's like, oh, I'm going D1. The football is going to be it for it. I mean, that didn't pan out for me at all. But I love the sport of football. And now that my son's finally in high school, he was a freshman this past year, getting back into going to the high school football games and everything like that. It's like, man, now I really want to get into coaching. I just wish I had the time to get into coaching. I might actually, I've been thinking about it. I've been kicking it around this year, probably be able to volunteer a few days here and there with the high school team and help out where I can, as a former high school receiver, I know a little bit, I can help out where needed. I wish I could help my son know he's a lineman. I do not know how to coach a lineman. He's the center now. Like, he got moved to center from guard. And, it's just like, dude, I don't know make sure the quarterback gets the ball and hits somebody. That's all I can do. Just hit somebody. That's all I can tell you to do. But he loves it. And, it's making me want to get into it. So, yeah, I definitely know what you mean by, being away from the game for as long as I have. I miss it. My wife yells at me every Sunday during football season. Is this what you're going to do all day? Absolutely. This is what I'm going to do all day. It's my only day off. Of course, I'm going to sit and watch some football all day. But, yeah. It's
Steelers fan?
Yeah, I'm Steelers fan.
Yeah.
I root for this. Okay. I root for the Steelers growing up, in Fallensby. There's no pro teams in West Virginia. And being 45 minutes to an hour away from the stadium, I root for all the Pittsburgh teams, Pirates, Penguins, and Steelers. I am a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, though, because when I was real young, they still had those creamsicle orange jerseys.
Love it.
I love those jerseys, and as a kid, I was like, those are sweet, and it just kind of stuck, and I've been a fan ever since, even through the tough years.
Wow, that's impressive. Now my daughter, she's 9 years old. She started becoming, and she is now a diehard Baltimore Ravens fan, to my chagrin. So we are a Browns family. I think there's only been 2 arguments I ever won with my wife over the years. Okay. Argument number 1, she's from Pittsburgh. Her family's from Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And, of course, being from the city, which I don't understand about Pittsburgh either, because, people that are from Pittsburgh say the neighborhood they're from but then the people from the suburbs say they're Pittsburgh. So that's a whole nother story for another podcast.
That could be a whole show in itself.
So my wife, from her parents are from Troy Hill. She's from Bloomfield, which are still right by the Strip District, but another podcast. Yeah. But so anyway, the point is they're diehard Pittsburgh, but our family, Leetonia High, we're diehard Browns fans, and raised my son right. He's a diehard Cleveland fan, so that's good. My daughter was the same way, just like you. Loved the color purple, and she saw the Vikings when she was like about 4 years old on the TV. Said, that's my favorite team. Well, the Vikings really weren't on TV too much, but you got to see the Ravens. Yeah. And next thing you know, Ravens wearing purple at home, and she's a diehard Ravens fan. So, that's one of the arguments I won against my wife was converted to at least my son to Cleveland fan. The other argument is I got a truck. So there, that's it. Those are the only two things I've ever won. That's it. So.
It reminds me of my parents. My dad makes this joke all the time, and it's because he did not want to name me Michael. I'm actually a junior. I'm named after my father.
Okay.
Yeah. And he didn't want to name me after him. My mom did. He wanted to name me Gianni Antonio, was what he wanted to name me. Very Italian name. I mean, yeah. But he said that my name was the first argument he lost with my mother, and she has been undefeated, unscored upon, and she's done. He hasn't even sniffed the goal, like he hasn't had anything. So he always makes a joke that he wanted to call me Gianni Antonio so he can call me G, which he still does to this day. Like every time I call him, he still calls me G. So it's just his way of getting back to her.
Oh, good. Well, good for him.
But I definitely understand that. Yeah, he's like, hey, your mother she's undefeated, she's unscored upon, and it started with your name. I did not want you to be a junior, and here we are.
Yeah, that's great.
So you're a teacher in the school district in Ohio. I believe you have to be at least in the school system in some sort to be a high school coach. So, how long, where did you go to college? And, is that what your degree was in? Was it in teaching?
Sure. Yeah. So, like you said, I was born and raised in Leetonia. I did get to take a little sabbatical. I went to a small college in Canton, Ohio, Malone College. It was called Malone College back then. They had just started a football team. I was fortunate enough to play football in college for Malone. Fortunate enough just to learn a lot of life lessons, but also, a lot of lifelong friends. And I got to the point where I was done, and I actually had an opportunity to start coaching with Coach Trussell at Youngstown State. Yeah. First as a student coach and then as a graduate assistant. And it just so worked out that I was a health and physical education major at Malone, but whenever the credits transferred, they said, hey, you have more credits for you being an elementary teacher. And I said, okay, well, that's fine, whatever. I'm going to be honest with you. I hope I'm not going to give too much of a uplifting message here to your viewers, but I probably can self-deprecate and say here I have the lowest GPA of probably any school teacher in our school district right now. But I made it through and made it through with an elementary education degree. And I was very fortunate. My father had taken a few years off of coaching, came back. And when he came back, he asked me, he said, I'm going to come back if you come back. And I said, well, sure, I'd love to. And happened to be a teaching position open at Leetonia. Jumped in on that. That was where my student teaching was. And I've never actually taught in another district. It's very rare, so.
That's very rare to hear that. But I kind of get it that, like you said, with the schooling and, you have these credits to do this and that. And, I started as a business major in college, and I tell everyone, you don't get to be a comedian if you're book smart. So started as a business major. Then my advisor, like my sophomore year, was like, all right, so Mike, here we have two options here for you. You can either A, stay as a business major and fail out, or we can change your major and basically start over. I was like, I'm paying a lot of money to be here, and I'm on the swim team here. So, yeah, that's kind of what was that second option that you had there for me? And lo and behold, I had taken enough business classes that my senior year, my advisor was like, you have enough credits to have an accounting minor on your diploma, right? I was like, no one's ever mentioned that to me. I had to do a victory lap because I changed my major in the 5 years I've been here. No one's ever said that. So yeah, so I get it. Like, you have those credits, and I was like, do I have to do anything else for that? They're like, no, you have it. It's done, and it's on your diploma. And I was like, that's awesome. Yeah, thank you for that. It's a couple classes that I must have been able to pass in the business side of things in the business realm. But yeah, I get it. I graduated college with a 2.0, which is the bare minimum at Bethany College that will allow you to get out of there.
Good old Bethany.
Good old Bethany College. Yeah, they let me graduate somehow, but I got the degree.
Well, I got you a little bit, I think, but it's been a long time. So I think I'm year 25 now, so nobody cares, now.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I could go into college about being, in college and going to school there. I mean, it's not for everybody. I get that. Now, looking back, being a comedian, you don't really need a college degree to be a stand-up comedian. So, but it is what it is. And, I wouldn't change it for the world. I had a lot of life experiences. Met Johnny there, too, as well. Mutual connection who connected us here together. So, good old Johnny Falcone. Met him there. He
knows a lot of people, too.
Oh, he knows so many people. There's times I'm like, how do you know them? Like, how do you know this many people? He's like, I don't know. People, I just meet people, and I like to talk to people. I was like, clearly, because you know more people than me, and I travel around doing stand-up shows. Like, how do you know more people than me?
That's the truth, too. It could have been a whole half a podcast if I would ask them, hey, where you been? What have you been doing? Because there's always something going on with him, and he's always somewhere. And, he's a hard guy to keep track of, too, once you, try to go through his resume, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Trying to go through his resume. I mean, speaking of resume, like you mentioned a little bit before here, you were at Leetonia, you resigned for a little bit, and then you came back. So take us through a little bit of your coaching journey, for the listeners out there, and, how it all basically got started and everything like that, and, where you're at now.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Big labia energy.
But if I eat a little cheese every day,
just keep it.
It's like I have a tolerance. Yeah, for cheese.
Good
Same
job
with
building
cats.
up your tolerance.
Like if I pet a cat every day for the first week or two.
I thought you were going to say if I eat a cat a little bit every day, started at the tail and just ate a little bit, that'd be fine. But if I didn't eat a cat for 3 months,
I would totally start at the face. Why would you start at the tail? If someone put a gun to my head and said, "Eat this cat," I'm trying to think of an acceptable scenario.
About a feline, right?
Oh, did you think I was talking about pussy?
Maybe it could go there.
I don't want to eat a cat. I want to eat a pussy.
Sure. People always ask, hey, how did you get into teaching? How did you get into coaching? And, I joke, but it's only a half joke because I really can't do anything else. I'm not good with my hands, construction, whatever. I'm trying to be a good husband around the house, but, there's really nothing else I ever thought about doing. So I knew I wanted to get into, working with kids and teaching and coaching. And so that was always what I was going to do. And, fortunately I went to a college alone that, we used to joke they put out nothing but preachers and teachers, and that was it. So I didn't really have a lot of choices there. So I played ball Malone, wanted to stay around the game. My dad was still around the game. I went to Youngstown State for a year and a half, 2 years, over 2 years, excuse me. And great experience there. I could go on about the stuff I learned, the stuff I experienced. But being a college coach is tough, and I always had in the back of my mind, I wanted to settle down. I wanted to, start a family. And, I kind of knew even at 22 years old, maybe not the best career choice if you wanted to find a good, wholesome woman and, start a family with. So, like I said, my father came back, asked me to come back with him. Love spending time with my family. Family is the most important thing. I mean, in fact, I'll get into how I ended up at Leetonia, but, I know it's coming up. That was strictly a family decision, and so I came back. I was assistant coach for a few years with my dad. And then, he said, all right, after 30 years, hey, it's time for you to take over and shine. And I was a head coach at Leetonia first time around. I was an assistant for 8 years and a head coach for 8 years. So spent the first 16 years of my high school coaching career at Leetonia. And, I had some great times. I'll tell you what, the first 2 years, we won a league championship. Boy, I tell you what, when you're young and your first 2 years of coaching, boy, you think you know everything, especially after you have success like that. And then, I had a couple bad years in between there, years you didn't win as many games as you wanted. But, I stepped away and I needed to. At the time, I wasn't sure if it was the right decision. Wasn't sure if I wanted to. I needed a couple nudges to just refresh and recharge my batteries. And I have 2 children, less than 2 years apart. And, I made it through when my son was born, and he's 11, almost 12. He'll be 12 a couple weeks from now. Made it through him when my daughter was born. There's something about daughters, man. It was just like, I don't know, my baby girl, I didn't want to be apart from her. I mean, that was all you could think of. And, it was the best life decision for me at the time to, step back and, be a good husband, be a good father. Took a year off, but not really. I went around different schools, kind of helped out how I can, did what I, said, hey, what can I do to help, because coaching's close fraternity, you build a lot of good relationships. So then after that, I went to Canfield, which is just a little bit up north, for a couple of years. And then I went to Salem for a couple of years. And both of those schools were because of the people that were in charge. You got to coach with good people. You got to hire good people now, your head coach. And, Mike Pavlansky was at Canfield at the time. It's one of my closest friends. Ron Johnson is at Salem still. Was one of my closest friends. So I wanted to, enjoy that part of coaching. The opportunity came up at Lisbon. I had past relationship with their administration. They kind of nudged me to go down and check things out, and spent 4 seasons, 4.5 years down in Lisbon. Great town. I don't know if you ever did any comedy down there. There's probably not a lot of opportunities, but it's a great little town. I always say our little corridor here, Lisbon, Leetonia, and Salem, are all pretty much the same places. You just got to read the road signs to know. So spent time 4 years there. Built a lot of great relationships, had some great kids, had some good seasons. And, the opportunity came up to come to Leetonia, and, my kids go to school here. I live here. I shrunk my commute from 10 minutes down to 1,800 feet. So, and it's great, but I don't know how you are. I could say this, now, since it's not like an official teaching podcast or whatever. The closer I get to my workplace, the more likely I am to be late every single day. So I'm always up there. I'm up there all the time, being a coach and a teacher. Today we had baseball practice up there. We had, picked a kid up for baseball. Then I was watching the high school baseball game. They were playing Jefferson County Christian, which is down from where you're from, where you're from originally. But so watch that a little bit, come home. Tried to, I don't know. I didn't even get a chance. I don't know if my hair looks good or not.
No, you're good.
Should have known it was a hat, man. And I would have worn my hat. I didn't know what the proper protocol is.
No, we're not that serious here at the show. Here we keep it light here as much as we possibly can.
Good. That's great. And I listen to some of your stuff, and that's I love that. I love that about the podcast. I can't wait to keep checking it out, because that's I think that's great. It's needed. You need some light and entertaining stuff to listen to.
Oh, 100%. I'm honestly, if it wasn't for COVID, I probably wouldn't be podcasting, because I was one of those people, like, I fought podcasts. Like, I don't want to listen to this. I don't need like this on my phone. I don't want to get into all this. But, you know, COVID opens your eyes to a lot of global, you know, especially people in the entertainment world like me. You know, our jobs aren't essential. You know, if the world shuts down,
Yeah.
I'm out of work. So
Wow.
So it was rough, and, you know, had a lot of people, you know, telling me they were wanting to sign me as a comic to be, you know, a full-time professional comedian, leaving a day job, all this other stuff. And then the world shut down, and then they all backed out. And they said it was because I didn't have an online presence. So in true Paisan fashion, out of spite, I started this show to grow an online presence, and it's gone.
Funny how that works.
It's gone pretty well, so I can't say that I'm mad at it. But, you know, you mentioned something, and, you know, my wife and I live by this, and, you know, laughter is the best medicine. You need that break to just, you know. Times get tough, you know. Everyone goes through it here at some point or another. You got to find the funny in every situation, otherwise you're not going to make it. So that's you mentioned that, and I like to at least mention that on as many shows as I can and remember to. But, you know, laughter is the best medicine in the world for me.
Exactly. And just talking.
Yeah.
You know, just talking. You know, just like what we're doing. Just talking and cracking jokes, cracking wise a little bit. I mean, that's what it's about. You know, the human interaction part of 2024, I think, could always be improved on. Oh,
absolutely. For sure. You know, I've worked in sales. You know, you get to talk to a different person every interaction. It's a different person coming in, and it's fun. I love it. And, you know, it's something, you know, trying to teach my son, who's always just in his phone at 15. You know, he's and I'm like, how about we put that away, and you come sit down and have a talk with your mother and I, and we'll just hang out. We're not even. It's not even that serious. Let's just hang out and have a conversation. He's like, but I'm got stop. Whatever, dude. Go ahead. See you later. I know we're on the back burner at parents at 15. We're on the back burner. I get it.
When did the phone start? Because we're right in the Fortnite kind of deal now. Everything's Fortnite, you know, but we haven't gotten into the phones yet. When did the phone start? You said your son was 15. When did that happen?
I mean, we got him his first little phone. My wife and I met. We were working at AT&T at the time, so, you know, we got him his first phone. I think he was like 9 or 10, and it was because we weren't home a lot in sales jobs, so we needed to be able to get a hold of him and stuff like that, given he was just at his grandmother's. But, you know, we needed to be able to get a hold of him or just check in on him. But he really, really got into him. I'm gonna say it was like 11 or 12. He was really just nonstop games, texting friends that had it, Snapchat now. And it's just like, I mean, dude, I get it. It's cool. It's fun. But, like, you got to put that down and check out from it for a little bit. Trust me. Because he doesn't quite understand. Like, when I come home, like, my phone goes down and, you know, it's family time. That's if it buzzes, because, you know, being in the entertainment industry, it could buzz for shows all the time. I mean, I'll quickly peek at it just to see if it's important. I'll answer it, obviously. But if it's not, you can wait till tomorrow. I'm not answering it if I don't have to. So
that's great. I wish I was better at that, because you know, I'm starting a new program here, which, I mean, I know I was here, but, you know, came back to Leetonia. You're always answering the phone or picking your phone, you know, and I wish I was better at that. You know, we try to eat dinner as a family as often as possible, but, you know, doesn't happen, you know, but we try.
Yeah, like we get it. Like, my wife and I's work schedules are all over the place, and especially with me, with shows and stuff like that. And I still do work a day job, But like, yeah, today, like, wife doesn't get home till probably 9:30 tonight. So,
Wow.
me and the son, we're going to eat something. I'm going to make something for her. I'm going to have it, warmed up by the time she gets home. But yeah, we don't get a lot of times to eat as a family as we should. But as you know, as a paisan, Sundays we're both off, so it's pasta day, and we have our Sunday sauce, and that's our family dinner that we get to have as we finally get it. And my son, he looks forward to Sundays because pasta and spaghetti is by far his favorite meal. He could eat it 7 days a week.
Good. I was able to make linguine with my homemade linguine with white clams last night. That's what my son likes. So
that sounds
turned
really
out pretty
good.
well. Pretty well. I don't know, what background your wife has, but my wife's Polish German from Pittsburgh, and there are no spices that she'll put in her whenever she cooks something. So when it comes to the Sunday sauce or lasagna or even a baked fish, I mean that's all me. I do take pride in my cooking.
I do too. I love to cook. My wife didn't realize that when she met me that I like to cook. Like that's a little bit of therapy for me. I mean, she's full Irish, and I'm full Italian. We're a very loud household. Let's just say that.
I was going to say,
we're a very loud household. But my wife's cooking is phenomenal. I'll tell you that. I mean, I graduated college at 165 pounds at 6'5". I was just a little stick of a swimmer. I mean, I swam, so I mean, I couldn't really bulk up. I am now 220 pounds, and that is all her. There's no doubt.
That is awesome.
That is all her.
I love it.
That is all her for sure.
I love it.
But I want to get into this. We mentioned it a little bit there before, knowing the wonderful manager of the podcast here, Johnny Fiddy Falcone, who coached at Lowville, and apparently you two had a couple runs in with Leetonia and Lowville and had some good games back when they played each other. Can you take me through some of the games and what it was like coaching against good old Fiddy?
Well, he's an interesting character to coach against. I'll say that, and now that I'm in, my 40s, I've been in it 25 years. I'm not the same coach as I was as far as, maybe showing all your emotions on the field and on your side and all that. But, Coach Falcone there, he's going to be emotional. He's going to be excited, and that's great. If he was on, I'd love him to join our staff if he had the time. But so we had some intense battles, not just because there are two good programs too. Lowville and Leetonia were kind of both rolling at the time. And so, there's a lot of fans in the stands. And Lowville and Leetonia are kind of similar communities, or at least they used to be. Lowville has a big Italian presence. I believe they're the second smallest school in Mahoning County. We're the smallest, but I think Lowville is pretty close to our enrollment. So, you had two schools, similar size, similar backgrounds, and, I'm trying not to be stereotyping or whatever, but, kind of what we used to do was we would look and see how many names end in vowels, and they're like, they got all this, and I know it probably wasn't right, or probably isn't 2024 thing to say, but, it's kind of what we looked at, because we knew there was hard-nosed kids there, and we did have some good battles, and then I think I had the opportunity to coach against Johnny when I think he spent some time at Lisbon, actually, too, where I was just the head coach, and I think I remember coaching against John then also. So he'd been around. I'd been a few different places, but not as many as him. I still remember one day he just texted me. He's like, "Hey, I'm going to be the head coach at Lakeview, PA," and I didn't even know where that was. I said, "Congratulations." I didn't know too much about it. I didn't know too much. I said, "Great," and it sounds like an awesome opportunity, but I know it's just across the border, but I don't know. It could be a world away when you cross that state border. But So we've had some good battles, over the years and 25 years of coaching. There's been some some good games that I've been a part of.
Okay, so that all being said, what is the outlook for the up-and-coming season for Leetonia?
We'll be back after a quick break.
I'm comedian David Race in Los Angeles. I host a celebrity-filled paranormal talk show like no other. Monstrosity has great guests answering weird questions. You won't believe the combo of celebrities and paranormal experts who've been on this show. I guarantee you'll like Monstrosity, or you get your time back. Go to monstrositypodcast.com right now and take a look.
We're going to be better, and I can say that with 100%, confidence. It's a hard thing to answer, and believe me, people have asked me this 100 times, if not 1,000 already. Hey, what are you going to do? How are you going to be? And, you can't sugarcoat it. The bottom line is, the program I was at, a head coach at down in Lisbon, we were league runner-up last year. The program was trending in the right direction, winning more games each of the last 4 years. And, you can't sugarcoat it. Leetonia has lost 28 football games in a row. So we're going to be better. I can guarantee you we're going to be better. Okay. With a new coach, whether it's me or anybody else, you get some excitement. I'm in the school every day, and that's basically what I'm doing. I've hired some great people as assistant coaches, and they can worry about that stuff. I just want to make this program something that the community can be proud of again. Something that gets people in the stands, coaching on the opposite end of the sidelines last year, looking up at the stands, I'm like, there's so many things we could be doing to get the elementary kids to the games, to get some of the old timers around town, so really that's really my focus, is trying to breed enthusiasm, breed excitement. And, like I said, I grew up around this sport. I grew up around this town, I remember being a water boy in 1984 playing for the league championship week 10, and there's 5,000 people in the stands, and all around the stands. So, I mean, I know we're not going to get to that point. That's 2024. It's just the way it is, over the course of, almost 50 years, but, we're going to try. And, so, I mean, that's the outlook. We're going to have a JV team for the first time since I've been gone. We want to get these kids to play football and enjoy what they're doing. And that's what it's about. Absolutely. I'll tell you this. I will be trying to keep up as much as I can with Leetonia High School football this year. I follow everybody. If they're a coach or a player, I try to stay in touch and follow as much as I can. Wow. My phone literally dings all the time, and it's updates. I've had players who play overseas that were from here, and all hours of the night, because their games are different time zones. The one time my phone was dinging with score updates and stat updates from a guy that plays in Iceland right now, I think. Oh, wow. And it was 3 a.m. and my phone is just dinging, and my wife is like, "What is that? And who is texting you at 3 a.m?" I was like, that's a sports update for Rashad, who's playing over. He has a game today. It's in Iceland. I forgot to mute that. I could not stay up, but yeah, I do stay up. If I say I'm gonna try to stay up with it, I will stay up with it the best I can for you guys, and I'll be rooting for you this year, Coach. I mean, getting off of those losing streaks is tough. It is. But my high school, when I played there, they were a powerhouse. Brook High was a powerhouse, and and it had the down years of, as they called it, mediocrity at 5-5 every year. And my senior year, we were able to break that, go 6-4, and make the playoffs for the first time in like 10 years. And wow, just seeing fans back in the stands. So I get it. Football Friday night. It's king around Ohio and West Virginia and PA. It's football Friday night, and you're right. Everybody loves it, and I love it. And getting to
getting to go back to the games now. Now my son's back in high school's giving me a little bit more rejuvenated and back into the football spirit. But
well, Philo's got a good program too.
Yeah. They got a decent program. First time really seeing it, we know, in high school with my son being a freshman this year, but I like what I saw from the coaching staff and the players, and just, it's a little farm town, got a bunch of corn-fed boys here that are just big boys. So it's definitely good. It's good. It's good for sure. But I do have to get this one last segment in here for you, Coach. Because we are running down near the end of the episode, and as someone who's listened to the show before, I'm sure you know what's coming, and it is the Fast Fiddy 5, and that is 5 random questions from the wonderful manager of the podcast, Johnny Fiddy Falcone. Matt, these have nothing to do with what we've been talking about the entire time. So if you're ready, we'll get going with the Fast Fiddy 5.
Let's hear what we got.
Question number 1: what came first, the chicken or the egg?
Egg.
Okay. Question number 2: what's a better color, orange or yellow?
Orange.
All right. What's more terrifying, a polar bear or an elephant?
An elephant.
Okay. I did not see that one coming as the answer, but question number 4: what is your ideal breakfast meal?
Hash browns and all the meat I could fit on my plate.
It's probably the best answer to a food question that we've had on this segment in a long time. And last but not least, one word to describe grapes is?
Used to make, one word. Oh, now you're killing me. Wine.
I was just saying, I know where you're going with that. Wine, yeah. That was the Fast Fiddy 5. I think he took it easy on you there, Coach, for a little bit.
He really did.
That was a lot of either ors. I don't get a lot of either ors out of him. I think he took it a little too easy. I might have to get on him about that. And
appreciate that.
It's a little too easy for you, Coach.
Yeah. Hey, I like easy.
Yeah. But like I said, we are running down near the end of the episode. I give every guest this opportunity at the end of the show. If there's anything you want to get out there, whether it's a good message or why come play football at Leetonia, or just anything in general that you got to get out there, the floor is yours, Coach.
Hey, really, it's just going to be a matter of, I'd like everybody out there to remember to show gratitude and thanks to what other people do. And, every little thing matters and every little thing counts. So, just show some gratitude. That's it. That's all I got. Leetonia will take care of itself. I hope did okay. Maybe got some listeners. Maybe check us out. But realistically, let's look into showing some gratitude.
I gotta tell you, man, I love it when there's a good message to end the show. I really do. I love it when I'm all for guests coming on and helping them promote what they got going on. But when it's just a good message like that, I love the way that makes the show end. But that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. Once again, I want to thank my guest, Coach Matt Altomare from Leetonia, Ohio, and Leetonia High School. Like I said before, I will be keeping up with you, Coach, so hoping for good things for you and really rooting for you guys this year to break out of that slump and get back on the winning tradition there at Leetonia. As always, if you enjoyed the show, be a friend, tell a friend. If you didn't, tell them anyways. They might like it just because you didn't. That's going to do it for me, and I will see y'all next week. The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Dubby Energy. Energy drinks made for gamers, streamers, and podcasters alike. For gamers, streamers, and podcasters alike. Go to the link in the description where you can find the best energy drinks out there. Less caffeine than a cup of coffee. Also, no jitters and no crash afterwards. Use the promo code Mike Bono and get yourself 10% off. Also, the Ride Home Rents podcast is brought to you by my favorite sponsor of the show, and that is Shankit Golf. Golf apparel made for the everyday golfer. We might not go out and shoot a 6 under par. We're probably going to shoot a 6 over par, but this is going to give us the gear that's going to help us rock it on and off of the course. Go to the link in the bio, use the promo code Mike Bono, and get yourself 10% off there as well.